So if I would say what's the lineup, I would say number 2 would be Logic. Number 3 would be Studio One. Number 4 would be FL Studio. And I can't even count Bitwig because I didn't even give it a try. And so in this video, we're going to talk about DAWs and trying out a lot of DAWs, and let me know your experience on trying DAWs and everything, and which one you picked to be your go-to DAW. I tried out a good amount of DAWs, in my experience. And so the first DAW I had was Logic, and it was Logic 5. It was that long ago. It was Logic 5, and it was good. It was definitely like my workflow, my go-to workflow. And this was 2006. It might have been 05, but 2006, and it was a great workflow and everything. And it was the old times before computers was getting more faster. So I was, dibbling and dabbling, and I found that it was cool and everything. I loved the ESX24, that sampler. I loved that sampler. And I remember, I could even remember going to Sam Ash to go and get the East-West samples so I could import them. And back then you had to import samples manually, so you get a CD, you get the CD, and you put in a CD drive, and you got to import manually, put the wave files in one folder, and then you put the ESX files in another folder. And I love those East-West samples, and I love that sampler. Once I learned how to put samples in, and and set up the key groups and those different things, man. But definitely I was on Logic for a good while, probably about all the way. Yeah, I was on that Logic, but that Logic was on Windows, so basically, and that was my go-to until eventually I had to get a new computer and update and go with the times. So I went and got a new computer, and that Logic didn't work anymore for Windows because Apple had bought them. So, and I was an Apple user, so yeah, so that was cool. And so then I had to pivot. So then I went into FL Studio, and FL Studio, it's definitely cool. I like the warm, saturated sound, like I like the FL Studio sound. And I was definitely using it on the side with Logic back then, when it was like just Fruity Loops. And I love FL Studio, and I just can't get a grasp on to keep using it. Or like I couldn't get the grasp. Yeah, I couldn't grasp it. Like I would use it. Sometimes I would make good beats and everything, but the sampling, the way the sampling is kind of different. That workflow of the sampling, I didn't really like it. And so FL Studio is really cool, aside from the sampling, where I couldn't understand it, and it seemed like it was a longer task, but I like the VSTs that are in there, or you could say the plugins that they have, like the stock synthesizers. Yeah, I like those. I kind of wish Ableton had like something like that in their DAW, but it is what it is. And also, what else did I try? I tried. Oh yeah, and then I just remember my friend, one of my peoples, was telling me about Bitwig and stuff, and he was using it for a little while. And to tell the truth, when it comes to Bitwig, I opened it up, I installed it and opened it up, and then I just looked at it, and I didn't even know where to start. It was just like, and I think it had the same thing as Ableton. Is at first, when you look at it, you're kind of like, where do I start? Because it's so different from Logic. you know, and FL Studio was kind of different too. Like, you know, like you had the sequencer, you know, the playlist sequencer and all that stuff. Yeah, it was kind of all over the place. But yeah, Bitwig, I didn't really do anything with Bitwig. I just opened it up and I looked at it for a while, went through it, and then that was it. I closed it and that was it. You know, so then I went into Studio One. I looked into Studio One and I liked it. It definitely remind me of Logic. It remind me of Logic, and I looked into it and I like their graphics or the GUI. I like how it looks, like, you know, especially like if it's called Studio One, it definitely looks like a Studio One for sure. And I liked, yeah, I like them, the mixer and everything, and their stock plugins, like effects, like they're really like true to what you tell it to do, like a compressor, like it does what it's supposed to do, you know. So yeah, and I like their sounds. I bought a whole bunch of sounds that they had, you know, in the shop and everything. And yeah, I like Studio One. It's cool. Like when it came to like quantizing while making a beat, it was a little shaky here and there with the quantizing. And it was the same for me with FL Studio. Like, you know, I didn't understand that 1-2 step, those steps and this and that. Like, I'm just used to the language of 1/16, 1/8, you know, 4/4 count, like the simple stuff. But I just didn't understand it. Here and there, I could quantize okay in FL Studio, and then another time it would just be off. And you know, maybe it's just my computer, maybe it's, I don't know what it is. But as far as quantizing, yeah, Studio One sometimes it's kind of like, yeah, the way it does it, it's kind of weird. But you know, I'm cool with Studio One and everything, but I never really fully dived into it where I'm just pumping out. Like, my beats sound very different in Studio One. That's another thing too. In DAWs, like in different DAWs, when you make music with them, they're gonna sound different. That's a fact. That's one fact that I definitely realize. I realized that every DAW has, no matter how creative you are, your music is gonna sound different when you use them. You know, for sure. That's one thing. And yeah, so Studio One was okay, and then I found I found something. I think I found some kind of I think I was looking up something, and I found MU Tools, and they had Moolab, and it was like Moolab 4, and I tried that out and I actually liked it. You know, it just, I just didn't see it as a full-blown DAW. But I don't know what, and I know one of my friends had bought the license for Moolab 6, and he said he probably never even installed it. I don't know, that was a waste of money, or he just, yeah. But then I found Ableton. And of course, like, I'd seen Ableton before, because I was mentioning that when I opened it up, it was just like, I wouldn't know what to do with it. But that was around like Ableton 6. Like, it was a long time ago. So the same thing happened there. But then in 2012, that's when I went into Ableton and I gave it a chance. And then from there, it was off to the races. I found it very simple once you understand the layout, and you know, and that symbol of Ableton and why they have that logo. Then I understood it, and everything was just very easy, you know, like, and that's why they made the DAW that way. Like, it was very simple once you get around how it's made and everything. But it has the same layout, but then yeah, it was very different. But yeah, once I got a grasp of Ableton Live, yeah, that became my DAW. So, and I love the workflow of Ableton, and quantizing. 90% of the time, it understands my quantizing, and yeah, understands the language of what I want to quantize. And yeah, I just love everything about Ableton. So that's my number one go-to DAW, you know. And yeah, I'm loving Ableton 12 and still haven't fully dived into it, but yeah, I'm loving it. But so if I would say what's the lineup, I would say number one for me is Ableton. Number two would be Logic. Number three would be Studio One. Number four will be FL Studio. And I can't even count Bitwig because I didn't even give it a try. And is there any other DAWs out there that I did give a try? None I can remember, but you know, that's what I've learned from using a good amount of DAWs, and it's many more that I probably forgot, or many other things about these DAWs, but yeah, man, that's what I learned, you know. So until then, it's Dame the Real, aka Dame the Musician, and I'm signing off. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.